Good afternoon, friends, family, loved ones, enemies, contributors, distractors. This is Kevin Lewis on the Blueprint. And this week's show is called Charlie Pride, America Expo. And I appreciate anyone and everyone that tunes in. That's not, I don't know what time the funeral starts. And I'm hoping that maybe y'all could catch it later if you attended the viewing of the funeral for Charlie Kirk. But this is a show that's going to cover a couple of things. Mainly, it's going to cover us and ourselves. But I'm gonna try to keep it quick um, and not prolong this conversation. It's straight to the point. So this is called Charlie Pride, and it's basically, I know Charlie Pride was a black country singer, but I'm not talking about that Charlie Pride. I'm talking about the pride that America has in Charlie Kirk and why America has this pride in Charlie Kirk. I'm going to try to explain it from my perspective. What's actually happening, what's going on, what we need to pay attention to, and why we need to pay attention to it. Now, to me, Charlie Kirk was a white Christian nationalist, even though he denied it, but he was a Christian, he was a nationalist. And to me, he exemplified everything with the white Christian nationalist movement. So what does the white Christian nationalists have to do with us? We're black. So this is a religious movement, or they put religion in their movement to bond them together. To me, the white Christian nationalists, that means that they're pushing what they consider white Christian values. Well, Christianity is not supposed to be about race, right? So can a black person be in the white Christian nationalist movement? That's a good question. What does the white Christian nationalist movement have to do with you as a black person, you as a brown person? That's a question that you need to be asking yourself. And it's interesting because a lot of the dynamics that's happening in this country with a lot of people that's not white, with a lot of people that's not Christian, or some people that's Christian and not white. They are being affected by this movement because within you have MAGAism, the MAGA movement. They don't, they claim to be conservative, part of the conservative party. They are part of the conservative party. You have the white Christian nationalist people. They part of the conservative party. You have a lot of different groups that's part of that, but they all, and this is interesting. They all love Charlie Kirk. They loved Charlie Kirk. They still love him. And the thing is that this is dangerous. What's happening today in our government, in our country, in your government is dangerous because it's anti-constitutionalism that goes along with a lot of this stuff. A lot of these groups, rather I say, because when the Constitution differs from their agenda, then they will go against the Constitution. And they act as if they hold the Constitution as this holy grail, except when it goes against their agenda. They always talk about their Second Amendment rights. That this amendment gives us this, and the Constitution is this, great document that you can't step on our rights and you can't take our guns away. But then we watch them ignore the First Amendment, the freedom of speech. And they'll work around that freedom of speech by saying, oh, but that doesn't mean it's freedom of consequences. That's just like saying you can have a gun if the government permits you to have a gun, and therefore If we don't like you, we can take your gun away. Either you have freedom of speech, and I understand the freedom of consequences, but the freedom of consequences is you going against something that has been, like, say, your workplace say, okay, you can't use bad language or racial language or verbiage that someone could consider derogatory. Then you go against that, and then they could say, okay, we're going to fire you. They can't fire you because of how you feel. That's your freedom of speech. You can say how you feel if someone asks you how you feel. If I'm not at the workplace and I feel a certain way, long as I'm not representing my company when I'm away, then I can say how I feel personally. But what they're doing a witch hunt of anyone on social media that's not anti-Trump, anti-Charlie Kirk commentator, anti-Charlie Kirk post. Now it's a witch hunt. They even have a whole a collection of data. They're collecting data on any individuals that's posting anything that's against Charlie Kirk now because they're sensitive about what happened with Charlie Kirk. He was assassinated. They think that you should have some type of empathy for that. They don't want you talking about him right now or the things he said that you felt was terrible things or negative. But shouldn't that be your First Amendment right? I know it's a teacher in Seguin, Texas. I believe she was part of Seguin Independent School District. The governor of Texas pointed her out. Man, you a school teacher. I think she is a middle school teacher. And she said something on her social media post that said something about karma. That Charlie Kirk, basically what happened to him was karma. People had a hissy fit. Oh man, she got suspended. And now they're looking at, does that violate her work rules or whatnot? Now, what I'm getting at is people are not talking about her First Amendment right. See, they'll violate the Constitution, which is the rules that we're supposed to play by in this country. And I listened to a TikTok post, and I posted it on my Facebook page with this young guy called Dean Weathers, and he was a young guy that debated Charlie Kirk. See, Charlie Kirk would go to these schools, colleges, and things to debate with students. And to me, this is very important in the overall picture of what he was trying to accomplish. He was spreading a certain idealism and a certain way of thinking in this country that he wanted young people. So he went and he challenged them to go against what I think. And I'm going to go against what you think. And he became popular because what he thought and what he spoke about is what white America wanted to hear. This is why he was so popular. This is why what's happening now should be very important to everyone that is not of color in this country. The idealism that's happening with this Charlie Pride. Now, they will make it like they will use the media to make it seem like he was just beating people down. The common people that didn't know the tactics that he was using debate tactics. He was controlling the conversation. And a few times that he was demolished in his debate, those things won't be spread around. But anytime he would get on somebody and he would talk about black people, talk about um, um, I'm sorry, not religious. He'd talk about gay people, and people would try to debate him on that. And if he win a debate, those things would be spread all over. So these people are thinking he's some type of genius But then not they know, but what it is, he is saying things that they feel or that they want to gravitate to, that they want to feel. He's telling them what they want to hear. And they had a pride in everything that he was saying. It was a pro-white speech, anti-black, anti-LGBTQ, anything that they were, even history, black history. He would come out and say the things that many of them felt, but they didn't feel comfortable saying it because they knew, they kind of felt that maybe it was wrong for me to feel this way. And then he would present other things that they were just like, yeah, that he became their poster child. I mean, and First Amendment right, Jimmy Kimmel, ABC, major network. The president made threats because Jimmy Kimmel made a comment or made a joke that they didn't like. So the president put pressure on ABC, and ABC canceled Jimmy Kimmel's show. This is dangerous. The things that's happening now with this administration, this is dangerous. And even bigger than that, your reaction, our reaction to what's happening is dangerous to us. This is an important time for us in the Black community right now. What are you going to do? What is leadership trying to guide you to do? I had a friend of mine, he called me, he was like, man, talking about all this Charlie Kirk stuff. And he was like, man, they act like they love him more than Trump. I said, not to me. I said, well, he's more important to the movement long term than Trump is. Trump could make little, can't really make laws, but he could sign bills and things like this. He could get rid of things in the federal government, but those are not long-term things because they could lose the next election and things can be overturned. But what Charlie Kirk is doing, he's affecting the minds of the people, of the young people that's going to be in charge in the future. He's affecting the way that they think. He's appealing to the CEOs of tomorrow. He's appealing to the real estate people of tomorrow. He's appealing to the young people that's going to be judges, maybe police officers, maybe business owners that's going to be hiring and have to abide by certain hiring practices. He's playing chess. Trump is playing checkers. And right now they're winning the game. Because we are not preparing our kids, the kids that's in college, we are not going out trying to give them a way to think and how to deal with this country, how it's going to be 10 years from now, 20 years from now. This is what the Conservative Party is doing. Malcolm X said, we're not outnumbered. We're out organized. We have no organization that's working for us. And I'm going to prove that in this conversation. We have no one in the government that's working for us on many different levels. If you look at what's happening, everyone that has this Charlie pride, that's what I call it, this Charlie pride. The different strategic places that they occupy is bad news for us if we don't wake up and do something about it. Because see, Charlie Kirk, what he was doing, he was trying to affect the youth. That's why he was going to colleges with young people. They're not ready. They're not ready to debate. If he debate professors and if he called out Dr. Claude Anderson, Dr. Umar Johnson, and said, I want to debate you. You know, let's get here and debate. But what he was doing, he was controlling the debate. He had a debate with this guy, Dean Withers, and it lasted, you could look it up, 3 minutes. And then he refused to debate him again. And people would come to his debate, say, why won't you debate Dean again? And what happened is Dean would follow him to other universities. Say, I still want to debate some more because I'm gonna keep whooping your butt. And I want to, and what they do, they will ban him. And I like I said, I posted a TikTok. He goes on live and he challenges anyone who supports Trump. And people will come on, and the dangerous thing that you want to listen to, it's not a game. It's not, oh, you won, you win, you lose. It's how these people respond, because they will show that they have the ignorance that they have in the things that they believe, in the power that this government has, or the power that they believe the president have. And when he proves them wrong, they say, I still don't care. If he proves what they're talking about is against the Constitution, if he proves that Trump is doing things that's not constitutional, they will say, I still don't care. So they are more concerned about how they feel than they are about the Constitution that governs this country. That's a dangerous thing. That's the rules that everyone is supposed to go by. Now, people are ignorant of the rules, but if you say, okay, people say, well, I think they need to bring back prayer in school. And I would challenge people about, I care less whether they bring back prayer, but I tell them that's not constitutional. Because if it was, they would have already did it. It happened to not be there because of the Constitution, regardless of your religious belief, the separation of church and state. That's what the Constitution, no matter how you feel, no matter what the majority, Congress can make amendments to the Constitution if you have enough votes in Congress. The president can't change anything in the Constitution. So someone's supposed to be charging this president when he puts pressure on someone and have them fire one of their employees for their freedom of speech. And the reason I'm saying, when people say, okay, it's freedom of speech, but not freedom of consequence. The consequences got to be for everyone. See, they can't say, well, Kevin, you know what? You said this and you said that, and we don't like that. That goes against company policy. Fine. You know what? You have that right. Because there's consequences in the speech that you are free to make. But you can't turn around and allow someone else that same freedom that you're not allowing me. Because someone else could be saying something that's against policy and all this stuff, and you giving them a free ride. Then it's not just about consequences to freedom of speech. You're selecting who can have freedom of speech. This is a dangerous thing that's happening in this country. People will come out and say, hey, you know what? You are this and you are that and you are this and you are that, because you're saying someone that I didn't agree with. But I'm talking about someone that said things about people that he didn't agree with, people that was dead. Charlie Kirk was against empathy. But now y'all want us to empathize. And if I don't show empathy, then it's a witch hunt. Then people want to come after you. And that's normal. People could come after you for whatever you want, but to see people supporting that, that's higher up people are supporting that same idealism. So these are dangerous times that we are in. And to me, I categorize Charlie. To me, he's a white Christian nationalist. That's what I consider him. And I consider him anti-Black. He's anti-Black America. He would debate things and he would make, well, Black Americans are more prone to, they're murderers. They're more prone to be murderers. Okay, well, you could say that at a murder rate. But he would slant statistics and he would come with his statistics and say, well, Black people commit 58% of the murders in America. No, they don't. That's not true. And he knows it's not true because he does his research. But he presents it to people that are not ready to challenge his results. If you're going to tell me black people, when you say black people are more prone to violence, then why the most violent nations in the world are not in Africa? They're full of black people. The percentage of black people that's in an African country outweighs the 12 to 13% of blacks in America. So yet America is the most violent country in the world. America has way more murders in the world than any other country. America has way more prisoners in the world than any other country. White, black, whatnot. We have more prisons than any other country. So that means it has to be more than just we have these black people that's more prone to murder. And these kids, because their life, they haven't even lived their life. They haven't matured. They haven't studied their history enough to understand what has happened to slant these statistics. Because it can't be just a genetic thing. Because like I said, if it was genetics, then black people would be, black Jamaicans, they're black. People in Brazil, they're black. A lot of them. All the African countries. America should be way down the list as far as crime is concerned if black people were just this violent people and all it makes up is 12%. And of course, not all of that 12 or 13% is adults. But yet America, with all the white people that's in prison, the majority of the people that's in prison is white. The majority of the people that's committing murders are white. Damn near all of the people that's shooting up schools are white. Committing mass murders, they're white. So it has to be something else about the violence in America. But he points the finger at black people in his rhetoric. And I'm going to call it rhetoric. He's using debate tactics. He was good at it, but he's using it against people. That's just like someone that learns how to fight, box, martial arts, and he wants to go to the school and challenge teenagers, young adults. But you don't want to challenge anything else that's on your level of your discipline. You want to leave the dojo instead of competing against people that will be competitive. You're going to fight people that's in the street that doesn't have that discipline. And he's doing it with debate, with logic. And he have an attack for black people. He talked about Simone Biles. She should be an American hero. This is an American expose right here because you're championing someone that attacks your gold medal winners for your country that happens to be black. He said some awful things about her. He called her a sociopath. You're not in a position, you don't know her like that to give a diagnosis like that. He called her a sociopath. She said that she was a shame to the United States. She's the most decorated gymnast in Olympic history, in world history, representing America, bringing the gold count for America above anybody else. But she's a shame to this country. George Floyd, which many people watched the video on, him dying in the street, being murdered by a police officer, convicted. They went through the justice system. They convicted him of the crime. He doesn't say the ones that did it was a scumbag. He says George Floyd was a scumbag. I don't care about his record. You could say, you could do all this character assassination on a whole lot of people. I could say that about the president. I could say that about a felon, convicted felon, a narcissist, misogynistic person. But you're not doing that. You're going after someone that created a movement that black people got behind the action of because they were fed up. Then you want to go and attack him. That was strategic. I don't care about George Floyd's history. I know that he didn't, no one deserves to die. Just like they say about Kirk. Well, he had these viewpoints he didn't deserve. And I agree with you. You don't deserve to die for what you believe or what you argue or what you debate. You don't deserve to die. He George Floyd didn't get sentenced to the death penalty. So what is he? You cared less about George Floyd. You didn't even know who he was. But now you want to talk about him. There's a lot of white people that committed crimes, that killed their wife and kids and did all these type of things, or went out and shot up a school. You're not commenting on them. You're commenting on people that was victims of police brutality that happened to be black. Now he's a scumbag. He attacked Martin Luther King, someone that he knows black people hold in high regard, that this country should hold in high regard. I don't care whatever Martin Luther King did on the side or what he did with his, I don't care about that, because you're not even saying that about your friend, your buddy in office. If you want to say, well, Martin Luther King, he was cheating on his wife, he's an awful person. But you're not saying that about the guy that's in office, that grabbed woman's private parts, or says that publicly and cheated on this wife with somebody else and have kids with different. You're not saying that about him. Paid off, porn stars or whatever he did. But you're going after Martin Luther King, someone that's been dead for decades, but black people hold in high regards. This was tactical. He was an awful person. Martin Luther King was an awful person. He was a Christian. I have to remind this preacher guy that sympathizes and empathizes with Kirk and said, well, he was a wholesome Christian guy. And I'm saying, is this what that religion is about? And I posted something, I believe today or yesterday. Guy comes on my post, this preacher, do not, he's putting up Bible quotes about evil and good, and people gonna think good is evil. And I guess he's saying that because I don't see Charlie as being this good, wholesome person, and I'm thinking he's wicked, that he's gonna hit me with this Bible verse. And I'm asking him, was that meant for him? Because you just posted something yesterday about anti-Dr. King, who was in your same religion, who was a preacher, a pastor, reverend. And this guy is just someone that says something about the religion, but also says that they're not playing by the same rules. And this is a dangerous thing and it's only dangerous because we're not recognizing a lot of these things that I'm saying. We're out there watching the game today, watching the NFL. And if you're not paying attention, only 6 NFL teams did not have or celebrate or have something posted before the game, the silence or anything like that about Charlie Kirk. Only 6 teams didn't say anything, and people are pissed. The NFL came out and said, well, we can't make them. That goes team by team. They can do that on their own. So now they're posting the teams. These teams didn't say anything. But I bet some of us that's watching these games today, your team went out its way to give some type of statement before the game at the field about Charlie Kirk that wasn't an elected official. You have elected officials in this country that got murdered. You have this guy who was a conservative activist. That's all they could say. A conservative activist. He didn't represent all of America. He didn't get gunned down in Afghanistan or Iraq or anything like this. He wasn't a soldier that died or someone that was going to, other countries and spread patriotism to Americans and got assassinated. He was just someone that had the beliefs that y'all have, that this country evidently values. I appreciate some of y'all that showed up. Aisha Ray, Sharon Simpson Anderson. I appreciate you, Hotep sister. Sakina, she gave her greetings. Walaikum assalam, sister. Teresa, I appreciate you showing up. She said he talked down on highly educated black people and didn't even have any formal education beyond high school. I believe he dropped out of community college. And he was talking down on people that had, full educations. He was always attacking black women that was, in office, talking about their mental capacity and things like that. Talking about DEI when all these DEI hires are happening with this guy in office now. He's firing people that has all these credentials and hiring people that was part of Fox News, and they're blundering and bumbling and stumbling and making major mistakes. That's a DEI hire. He's not talking about the DEI. The main people that benefit off of DEI are white women. They're the main beneficiaries of DEI, but he's pointing at black people. So when he says, if I see a black pilot, I got a question, and makes up well, it got to be 40% because the government says it got to be 40% of this and that, then why I don't see 40% of these pilots that's flying airplanes in this country black, if that was it? No, the ones that benefited the most was white women. So why you not saying why you didn't use that as an example? When I see a white woman and she's a pilot, I kind of figure is she's qualified or not, because that's not part of your agenda. Like I said, you're targeting black people. You want people not to feel any empathy towards black people when you start erasing their history, editing. We've been through in this country, all this CRT movement that the government is on, trying to erase what what people can teach in schools about the past of this country. If you love America, you love America as it is. You love our history. I seen them getting in a debate with this guy. They were talking about whether the white Europeans that came to this country when the natives was here, if they were settlers or immigrants. And he's like, no, they weren't immigrants. Immigrants is when someone comes to a country that's already established. So he's saying that, they not, I don't care what they were. They were murderers. I don't care who comes in my house, whether I welcome him to sit down. If he's a guest in my house and he murdered me, he's a murderer. And he became here as a guest. I don't care. He didn't have to break in. So all these words, you can use whatever label. The history of what happened in this country is what it is. What happened in this country is what it is. Was already written. I don't care what kind of label you try to get a people. You could say, well, the person that came in his house was a maintenance man. I don't care if he still robbed and murdered the people in my house, then he's a murderer. Stole their land. That is what it is. 6 NFL teams. Whatever happened with Kaepernick, that should have been writing on the wall for a lot of people. We're not political. They banned him, or they blackballed him for being political, and people was belly aching. You don't bring your beliefs and your politics into the game. All I want to see is the game. I don't care about your politics and whether you're right or wrong. That's fine. But now when it happens with this, and it didn't happen on the field, now someone gets killed And now all these teams got to have some kind of um announcement and memorial moment of silence for this ordinary citizen. And it's, I mean, how many ordinary citizens that get killed on a daily basis? They don't do that for the kids that got killed on the same day at the school in Colorado. Why is that? Because it's a certain Charlie pride that's going on. This is something that we have to pay attention with in this country. Everyone's letting you know who's who. If you following somebody, you supporting someone that's anti-black, then that tells me who you are and where you stand as far as black people are concerned. I'm not even talking about the politics. You could say, well, I have conservative values and whatever. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about Democrats and and Republicans. I'm not talking about liberals and conservatives. I'm talking about if a Democratic person, they could say they part of the Democratic Party. If that person is anti-black, I don't care if you're a Democrat, that shouldn't supersede bigotry or racism. I don't care if you're a Christian and he's a Christian. That shouldn't supersede. You let God sort that out. If they keep the same preacher, I'm gonna tell y'all this thing. We go back and forth. He tries to attack my beliefs. Um, he tells me, "Oh, did you hear this Muslim guy? He killed these people in another country." I'm like, "You don't care what happens in that country." And when you post it, I'm gonna say, "Yeah," and he's gonna pay for the crimes that he commit. I don't care about him having the same theological belief system that I have, or actually, or claim to have, that he's claiming to be the same belief system I believe in. If a black person commits a crime and rape or murder, whatever, then he needs to pay the price for that. If a Muslim person does something, someone calling themselves a Muslim does something, then they need to pay for that. That's point blank. But when you sit up there and say, well, he's a Christian guy, I don't care about then you telling me, but then you go against another Christian that he's attacking because he's a black Christian, reverend. And people will let you know who they are. People are letting y'all know who they are. This country is letting you know where it is with their Charlie pride. We need to take notes. The onus is on us. We had a vote go happen in the Congress. Black America, black community, predominantly Democratic. Probably 95% of us are Democratic. We vote blue no matter what. So now they had a vote in the House. The House was voting on having Charlie Kirk Day on October the 14th on his birthday. This conservative activist that talked down on black people every chance he had, the black people that support the Democratic Party, the people that we elect to represent us in Congress, supposed to be part of our team. I don't care if it passed in the House. If it's more Republicans in the House than it is Democrats in the House, then I suspect the Republicans can win anytime they try to do an election or vote on something, especially if it's something that they believe in. That's how it's supposed to work. But with this vote for this person that had the propensity of black comments and debates and all these things like this rhetoric, 95 Democrats voted for Charlie Kirk Day. The people that's supposed to be on our team, right? That we put in office, right? The ones that's supposed to be our party, they voting against our own interests. Only 58 Democrats voted no for this proposal. 95 for, 58 against. 38 just voted and just said, they said they didn't vote. They just said they was present. When they asked yay, nay, they said we're present. That means I'm here. I'm not going one way or another. You might as well say you was neutral. And the same as the 22 that voted, that voted, they didn't want to vote. So out of the 38 that was said they were just present, that means you didn't pick one side or another. You're going to let it pass. This is the same people that say it's y'all fault that this president is in office because all the people that didn't vote. This is just like not voting, right? This is what y'all doing on something, a subject, on someone that's anti-black, that's not even part of your party. You have no party affiliation with this guy. He's a conservative activist going against your political beliefs, going against the people that help put you in off, that supports you no matter what. No other group supports the Democratic Party like black people do. The Mexicans don't. Most of them voted for Trump. Or not most of them, I'm going to say most of them swung their vote to Trump. White people, they're split. They're Democrat and they're Republican. Now it seems, I don't know who the Democratic House members are with. You with the white side? You with the party side? Because he's not with your party. He's not with people that back you the most. Black people give you probably 95% of their vote. He's anti-black. He has anti-black rhetoric. So what are you approving? What's your approval for someone that's in a different party that wasn't even in government? 95 Democrats in the House voted yes for Charlie Kirk Day. And saying no is like, no, why are we going to have his day? He didn't do anything great in this country, except America, a certain faction of America loved him for the rhetoric that he was spewing. So those people that didn't vote, chose not to vote, that's just like not going to the polls. Y'all always on, well, everyone needs to vote. You need to let your vote be heard. Why y'all not letting y'all vote be heard? The 22 that said they didn't want to vote, and the 38 that said they was only present. They didn't want that on their resume. Why? We need to be taking notes. So now that was the House. In the House, Maxine, the usual, people that we expected to stand up, Maxine and AOC, they said they was ones that voted against it. Of course, people of color, women that he was putting down, women of color, yeah. But a lot of these people, y'all need to go and look at all those House representatives that's supposed to be who you vote for. Look at who the list is there. The names are there. Those 98 people that voted for him, they're more worried about their fellow race of people than they are about their own party and their own and the black people that represent, because he didn't speak down on white people, whether they were Democrats or not. He spoke down mainly, he targeted blacks and homosexuals. Then we go to the Senate. And we have some, it's 4 black senators plus 1. It's 4 black senators plus your man Tim Scott. Um, the Senate vote was unanimous. We have 4 Democratic senators that voted for Charlie Kirk Day. Some of the ones that we like, right? I mean, Cory Booker, Angela Osselbrook, Lisa Blunt Chester, Raphael Warnock of Georgia. I didn't mention Tim because he's a Republican. He's probably going to vote with his party over anything. We know that. I'm saying the rest, it was unanimous to have this Charlie Kirk Day. Now, it probably going to pass regardless, but at least we should have saw 4 votes that said no, but we didn't. Why? That's the question we should be asking. Instead of talking about who's winning the game or who won the game, these are the questions that we need to be asking. We need to be aware of what's happening with the people that we put in positions to represent us. Unanimous. And it's 47 Democrats. 47 Democrats out of the 100 senators, 47 of them, and they all voted. The Senate vote was unanimous. Somebody got some explaining to do. We got some questions we need to be asking. Who represents you? All these people at election time and they talking about all the people that don't vote. That's just like talking about police brutality and police saying, well, people don't want to tell, we don't have any witnesses and people are not cooperating. And when y'all are not cooperating, y'all not witnessing, when y'all see one of y'all fellow officers commit a crime, you don't say anything. You're doing the same thing that you charging other people of doing in the community. We know people seeing what happened, but no one wants to cooperate. We know a lot of y'all know what a lot of y'all co-workers are doing out there, and you're not cooperating. You're not even doing your job because you're supposed to be fighting crime, even if that criminal was riding with you. So don't tell me what somebody else sees and what they don't see and how you charging citizens for not coming forth and reporting what they saw and what they don't see. And when you're not even doing that with your own station. I don't want to hear these Democrats talking about, well, this is why, we're losing and it's more conservatives and Republicans in these seats because we are not getting out and voting and people turning and talking about us or people that's not voted, that didn't vote. Did you vote? Did you vote? If I did vote, I wasn't going to vote for him. I probably would have wrote in a vote. So don't tell me this is why we lost, because this is why we're losing. You want to talk about voting, then look at how they're voting in the offices that you put them in. But as soon as we put them there, we just turn a blind eye and we don't care. You're playing politics. I hear the other side that's more organized. They'll talk about what you voted for. Not this that you there. They'll say, well, this person, you're supposed to be Republican. You voted in favor of this. And they'll charge them. We're not doing that. We're not holding anyone accountable that we're putting in office. And I would ask, like, hey, you got some explaining to do. You have some explaining to do. It's something called the Shirky Principle. And the Shirky Principle is any institution would try to preserve a problem to which they are the solution to. So maybe that's what they're doing. Maybe this is what the Democratic Party is doing. Maybe they want things to be harder on people. That's, mainly us. Maybe we're probably the lowest ones on the totem pole in the Democratic Party. And they probably want things to be bad for the Hispanics and be like, yeah, see, this is why y'all need to vote for us. And you want to vote so you could be sitting in a position in the seat to have your ideas implemented. but your ideas is not protecting those that's putting you in office. So maybe that's what's at play. Maybe it's the Shirky principle. And that's an institution that will try to preserve the problem in which they are the solution. Well, you want all this stuff to stop? Vote for us. But when we vote for y'all and I'm seeing how you maneuver and how you moving in the Senate and in the House, this is something that we need to reflect on and ask ourselves who represents us, who's actually representing us. Look in the mirror and you better start representing yourselves. You better start coming up with ways, do that, play the game, go along with the game because that's all it is for them. It's a game because when the rules don't work for what they believe, then they're going to circumvent the rules. They're okay with a president that's circumventing the rules. They act like the Constitution. They have run to that Constitution rhetoric, but then what they believe trumps the Constitution. No pun intended. So we got to realize the game that they're playing, and it's being exposed for all of us to see. And if that game is being exposed, if their rules are being exposed, then we better recognize that and act accordingly and stop trying to play the same game by the rules. And if we keep playing the same game by the same rules that we think that they're playing by, then we're going to continue to lose. And I'm not talking about just elections. You better hold ABC accountable, Disney, cruises. You have choices to make. I seen a lot of people, they was pissed off at the DEI stuff and Target got hit and black people was talking, not only black people, but people period was talking about the DEI thing and how they were going to maneuver. When you start seeing these NFL teams showing their true colors, y'all better start acting accordingly. Do something. I don't care. And see, that's our problem. We don't want to do anything that goes against our entertainment value. I love this team. They're doing something wrong. I'm going to love them regardless. This is the same thing that people would charge. They say, well, the Cleveland Browns and I think I'm going to say the Chicago Cubs, teams like this, they will always for years, seasons, decades have a sorry team. They wasn't really trying to win. They didn't want to spend the money, but it didn't matter because they had people in the stands regardless. It'd be 3 degrees, people out there